can look at Guantanamo entirely through the prism of a censorship regimen. You know, it was created as a place of censorship in order specifically to allow abuse to happen, and then censorship remained in place specifically to cover up the fact that abuse had happened and to forestall accountability. And you know, in a way, institutionally, it's the repository of our dirty secrets, and they're in human form. You know, the bodies of these men are evidence of war crimes. There's this moment where he's finally brought outside into the sunlight by a group of Puerto Rican guards. One of them just sort of leans over and says, "You're going to be all right. It's going to be all right. You're going to go home." And he says, "I could not help breaking in," and then the word is redacted. And then the next sentence is, "I don't know what's wrong with me lately. I'm so emotional. I cry at the drop of a hat," or something like that, right? Well, obviously the word that's redacted is tears. It has no effect to delete the word tears because it's just very clear what's going on. And I just think of the gesture. I think of the human being who reached for the pen and crossed that out. And I see that as a real emotional response to what he or she was reading, right? It's just like, you know, that person was moved by that, and their instinct is, ooh, if it's something that moves you, people shouldn't be able to read it. I think it stands, you know, as a very secure place in that bookshelf of, you know, Nelson Mandela and Dostoevsky, you know, and Solzhenitsyn and you know, any number of great world literary masterpieces about, you know, about prison and endurance, you know. So it's more of a memoir in terms of what the literary construction of it was. He would write sections of it and give them to his attorneys, and then they would have to turn them over and it would all get locked away. But so it is retrospective, you know, in the sense that I think it's a larger attempt to interpret experience. What these works all have in common is that they, you know, illuminate the human communities that develop inside of these incredibly dehumanized and dehumanizing environment. And, you know, they show these extraordinary relationships that develop across the abyss, and resistance and faith and, you know, just ameliorating kindnesses and things like that. And then when the possibility came up of doing it as a book, you know, I understood my instructions to be what I know to be the instructions of any writer to an editor, which is, you know, clean up the manuscript, because he's writing in his fourth language, you know, make it pretty, as he said at one point, I think. But I backed away from that notion of making it pretty because I came to recognize the deep prettiness of what he was doing. And the more I listened, the more I really realized how subtle and sophisticated a storyteller he was. And so what really happened was it took me about 6 months to do a general edit, got it down to about the size and the shape that it is. And then it took me about a year to go through that and undo mistakes that I had made in that, going too far, editing too much, peeling back, you know, and I learned that my job was to, you know, get out of the way as much as possible. We would have seen him on CNN, you know, every month talking about Guantanamo. He would have been a go-to guy. He would have been one of those kinds of voices, you know. And if there's any chance that that accounts for that intervening 10 years, we've got a lot to answer for.